You ever have one of those moments where you realize you're living in a story nobody would ever believe if you told it straight? That's how I found myself sitting in a quiet Montana coffee shop at 3 in the morning, staring at a security feed of my own jet ski sitting on the dock at Ranch Lake, while the so-called queen of our HOA, Linda Whitmore, marched up and down that dock like she owned the place, showing off my grandfather's old jet ski to 50 of her guests like it was some kind of war trophy. And there I was, finger hovering over a button on my laptop labeled Sync, just waiting for the right moment, thinking, how the hell did we get here? Let me back up a sec because this revenge didn't come out of nowhere. 3 months ago, I was sitting on the old wooden chair my granddad left me watching the sunrise over Ranch Lake. My place was the oldest and smallest in this little gated luxury community, just a worn-out log cabin surrounded by million-dollar mansions that all looked the same. His chair had seen more sunrises than most people see Mondays, and I always thought sitting there gave me a bit of his old wisdom. Grandpa always said, "You'll understand when the time is right. Hold on to this place with your mind, not your fists." At the time, I didn't know what that meant. Not until Linda Whitmore showed up. Now, if you've never had the pleasure, let me describe Linda. Picture a bleach blonde, clipboard-wielding force of nature who looks at every slight as a personal affront and every HOA bylaw as a holy text. She came marching down my dock with her entourage phone out decibel meter, glowing like she was there to write up the very air I breathed. "I smell fish," she announced, wrinkling her nose like she'd never actually seen a lake before. "Your jet ski is in violation of multiple HOA regulations," she continued, not even pretending to say good morning. I kept my cool, but inside I was seeing red. She showed me her phone, 65.3 decibels. Apparently, a mortal sin in Ranch Lake. I almost laughed. My jet ski was electric and quieter than her voice, but she didn't care. She wanted a fight. "Do you have a permit for that watercraft?" she asked, as if my family hadn't lived here since before her first Botox appointment. I told her, "My family's had the right to this lake since 1952. She handed me a violation notice, $500 for noise disturbance, then spun around, high heels clacking, and called over her shoulder, "This lake needs to be cleaned up, starting with that cabin of yours." What Linda didn't know, what nobody knew, was that my granddad had prepared me for this day. There was a box in the attic, just waiting for its moment. The war had started and the first shot had been fired. The next Tuesday, I went to the HOA meeting at the community center, a building that looked more like a courthouse than a clubhouse. Linda sat at the head of the table, powder blue blazer, shining under the lights, gavel in hand, like a judge at the world's pettiest trial. "New regulations regarding watercraft usage," she announced. "No jet skis after 6 p.m. The vote was a sham. Only her inner circle raised their hands, but she declared it law. I stood up with my ace, the original usage agreement from 1952, signed by the developer himself, guaranteeing my family 24/7 access to the lake. She barely looked at it. "That's outdated, Mr. Morrison. The HOA supersedes any ancient agreements." Her voice hit that pitch where you start wondering if you need earplugs. I tried to be reasonable, even offered to keep the jet ski stored after 6. "That's very cooperative of you," she said, tapping her nails. "However, you'll still need to pay the $1,000 fine for what improper storage position. Apparently, I'd parked it facing the wrong way." That night, as I tried to cool down on my porch, 2 police cars rolled up. Sirens, flashing lights, the whole deal. Linda stepped out, pointing like she was in some crime drama. "There. He's violating the ordinance. Sheriff Marcus. Old friend of my dad, looked tired. Jake." She called in a noise complaint. I just pointed at the empty dock. "Marcus, the jet ski's been put away since 5:30. He turned to Linda. "Ma'am, there's no violation here." Her face turned the color of bad shellfish. "You're not doing your job." "I demand a citation." Marcus kept his cool, told her. False reports were a crime, and sent her home. She shot me a look that could sour milk. The next morning, something new. Brad, Linda's stepson, caught me loading groceries. "Mr. Morrison, can we talk?" The kid looked nervous, eyes darting around. He told me Linda had tried to buy my house for $2 million. My granddad turned her down before I ever heard about it. Brad showed me a photo of Linda standing outside my cabin, her face twisted in rage. "She's been planning something ever since. Back home, I found the chain to my jet ski dock cut clean through. Security camera knocked aside. Whoever did it, they'd come prepared. That's when I found the key, old with Grandpa's shaky handwriting when necessary. I knew what I had to do. The attic was a time capsule, fishing rods, Christmas lights, dust everywhere. There it was, the metal lockbox. My hands shook as I opened it. On top, a letter from Grandpa. If you're reading this, someone is trying to take what's ours. Power isn't about using it, son. It's about knowing when to reveal it. Beneath the original incorporation documents for Ranch Lake Development Corporation, ownership registry Morrison Family Trust 51%. I almost fell over. My family didn't just own our cabin, we owned the land under every house, the whole damn lake. Grandpa hadn't left me a home, he left me control. There were maps, notes, even surveillance on Linda. He'd seen her coming and he set me up for this very war. I called the law firm listed on the docks, Hartley and Associates. The partner on the phone said, "Mr. Morrison, your grandfather set this up perfectly. You control Ranch Lake. Every house sits on leased land." I asked, "What do I do?" He just said, "Observe, document, use your power wisely." That night, Brad showed up at my door again. I hacked into Linda's email, he confessed. She's planning to force you out, find the documents, and sell everything to a resort company. $500 million. He showed me emails evidence Linda had already taken bribes, driven out 5 families with fake violations and fines. And Mr. Morrison, I'm not really her son. She only keeps me around for the trust fund. He'd had enough, and so had I. Next morning, my phone buzzed. GPS tracker, my jet ski sitting at Linda's dock. Security footage, 3:17 a.m. Linda and her goons hauling it away. I saved the footage, got ready for a showdown. 8 a.m. I marched to her mansion, looked like a palace built by someone with more money than taste. Security tried to stop me, but I demanded my property. Linda sauntered out in silk pajamas. Stolen? That's a serious accusation. I showed her the video. She shrugged. The HOA confiscated it. She waved a document totally fake. Marcus showed up, saw the footage, and whispered, "Give me 24 hours to prove this is a fraud." Linda called out, "I'll be filing a restraining order." As I left, Brad handed me a USB. "I installed something in your jet ski remote override. You can sync it from your phone." Turns out Linda planned to unveil her new trophy at a pool party that afternoon. 50 guests, live music, champagne, the whole circus. Brad's system let me control everything, drive, spin, and sync. He even had Linda's signature approving the modifications. All I had to do was wait. Coffee shop mid-afternoon. I'm watching Linda strut around her party in a dress that probably cost more than my truck. She makes a big speech about keeping Ranch Lake exclusive, then points to my jet ski. "Today I'll show you what real HOA leadership looks like." She jumps on engines up, heads out across the lake, waving like she's in a parade. You know what I mean when I say, "The universe hands you a softball"? As Linda got to the middle of the lake, I hit sink. The jet ski jerked, started spinning, Baby Shark blaring at full volume from hidden speakers. Linda screamed as she tried to steer, but the jet ski spun her like a carnival ride, water flying, champagne glass, lost to the waves. The crowd thought it was a show. People were filming, laughing, cheering. Then the real fun water started pouring into the hull. Linda panicked, tried to stand, caught her heel, and fell in with a splash that took her wig with it. Her expensive dress shredded, she flailed for the rescue boat while her wig floated away like a trophy. By the time Tom Bailey's son hauled her aboard, half the guests were watching live streams titled Karen of the Lake. The DJ started blasting a Baby Shark remix, and Linda's wig became the local symbol for karma. Next day, emergency HOA meeting. Linda, hair crooked, eyes wild, screamed about aquatic terrorism. She tried to have me banned, seize my house, the whole 9 yards. I waited until she ran out of steam, then calmly walked to the front with Grandpa's documents. Anyone actually read the Ranch Lake Charter? Dead silence. I don't just own my cabin, I own this land, every house, every dock. I showed them the incorporation papers, state verified, which means I can override any HOA action. I could terminate every lease, though I won't. Chaos erupted. Brad connected his laptop and played Linda's own voice recordings of her planning to destroy evidence, take bribes, and force residents out. Sheriff Marcus came in, deputies at his side. "Linda Whitmore, you're under investigation for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy." Linda tried to throw a chair, screamed she'd sue everyone, and had to be dragged out by security. her wig hitting the floor one last time, poetic as ever. The board voted unanimously to remove her. Residents started telling their stories, illegal fines, harassment threats. I promised to reform the HOA, called for new fair elections, and announced every resident's lease was perpetual, not subject to Linda's whims. In the end, Linda got her day-in-court community service banished from HOAs, forever made to apologize to every family she'd wronged. The new ranch lake was actually a community rules-relaxed fines, refunded a scholarship fund in Grandpa's name, even a jet ski memorial at the beach with a plaque. Sometimes David doesn't need a slingshot, just a remote control. 6 months later, Ranch Lake thrived. Brad went off to MIT designing an app to fight HOA abuse. Linda sent a half-hearted apology from her tiny apartment across town. My grandfather's chair was still on the dock, and for the first time in years, the lake was peaceful. And if you ever find yourself up against a power-hungry Karen, well, maybe check the attic before you give up. You never know what kind of justice you'll find up there. If you've got a story about your own neighborhood tyrant, drop it in the comments. Let's see whose justice was colder. And as for Linda Last, I heard she still had 193 hours of trash pickup left, and somehow nobody was in a hurry to stop counting.